When two or more switches are installed in the same metal box and are fed by two different metal-clad cables, one at 277 volts and one at 120 volts, both metal-clad cable ground wires must be pigtailed to the box. The reason for this requirement stems from the fundamental principles of electrical grounding and safety. Firstly, the metal box itself needs to be properly grounded. The metal box serves as an equipment grounding conductor and provides a low impedance path back to the source in the event of a fault. This low impedance path facilitates the quick operation of overcurrent protection devices like circuit breakers or fuses, minimizing the duration of a fault and reducing the risk of electrical shock or fire. Secondly, each metal-clad cable contains an equipment grounding conductor that is designed to carry fault current. Connecting each of these equipment grounding conductors to the metal box ensures that any fault on either circuit will have a reliable path back to the source. Thirdly, the pigtailing of the equipment grounding conductors to the metal box creates a common grounding point. This common grounding point ensures that all metallic parts within the box are at the same electrical potential. This minimizes the risk of voltage differences between metallic parts which can create a shock hazard. Fourthly, relying on a single equipment grounding conductor to ground both circuits is not compliant with electrical codes. Electrical codes require that each circuit have its own dedicated equipment grounding conductor. This ensures that each circuit has a reliable ground path. Fifthly, connecting one equipment grounding conductor directly to the switch ground screw without pigtailing to the box might seem like a shortcut, but it does not provide the same level of safety. The connection between the switch and the box might not be as reliable as a direct connection to the box, especially over time due to corrosion or loosening of the screw. Sixthly, consider the scenario where the switch is removed for maintenance or replacement. If the equipment grounding conductor is only connected to the switch, removing the switch would interrupt the ground path for that circuit, potentially creating a hazard. Seventhly, by pigtailing both equipment grounding conductors to the box, you ensure that the ground path remains intact even if the switch is removed. Eighthly, the National Electrical Code, or NEC, provides specific requirements for equipment grounding. While the exact section number may vary depending on the edition of the NEC, it is crucial to consult the latest version to ensure compliance. Ninthly, the NEC typically requires that equipment grounding conductors be connected to all metallic enclosures and equipment. Tenthly, consider the potential consequences of improper grounding. An improperly grounded electrical system can create a significant risk of electrical shock, fire, and equipment damage. 11thly, electrical shock can occur when a person comes into contact with an energized conductor and a grounded surface. If the grounding system is not properly installed, the fault current may flow through the person's body, causing injury or even death. 12thly, an electrical fire can occur when a fault current flows through a higher resistance path. This can cause the conductor to overheat and ignite nearby combustible materials. 13thly, equipment damage can occur when a fault current is not properly grounded. The fault current can damage sensitive electronic components and other electrical equipment. 14thly, proper grounding is essential for the safe and reliable operation of any electrical system. 15thly, pigtailing the equipment grounding conductors to the metal box is a simple but effective way to ensure proper grounding. 16thly, the process of pigtailing involves connecting two or more equipment grounding conductors together using a listed connector, such as a wire nut or a crimp connector. 17thly, the pigtail is then connected to the metal box using a grounding screw or other approved method. 18thly, when selecting a connector for pigtailing, it is important to choose one that is appropriately sized for the number and size of conductors being connected. 19thly, it is also important to ensure that the connector is listed for use with equipment grounding conductors. 20thly, when connecting the pigtail to the metal box, it is important to make a secure and reliable connection. 21stly, the grounding screw should be tightened to the manufacturer's specifications. 22ndly, in addition to pigtailing the equipment grounding conductors to the metal box, it is also important to ensure that the metal box itself is properly grounded. 23rdly, this can be accomplished by connecting a grounding conductor from the metal box to the building's grounding electrode system. 24thly, the building's grounding electrode system typically consists of a ground rod, a metal water pipe, or a concrete encased electrode. 25thly, the grounding conductor should be sized according to the requirements of the NEC. 26thly, when working with electrical systems, it is always important to follow safe work practices. 27thly, before working on any electrical circuit, it is important to energize the circuit and verify that it is energized using a voltage tester. 28thly, it is also important to wear appropriate personal protective equipment, such as safety glasses and rubber gloves. 29thly, if you are not comfortable working with electrical systems, it is best to hire a qualified electrician. 30thly, a qualified electrician has the training and experience necessary to safely and properly install and maintain electrical systems. 31stly, failure to follow proper grounding procedures can have serious consequences. 32ndly, in addition to the risks of electrical shock, fire, and equipment damage, improper grounding can also lead to other problems, such as nuisance tripping of circuit breakers and interference with electronic equipment. 33rdly, nuisance tripping of circuit breakers can occur when there is a ground fault in the system. The ground fault current can cause the circuit breaker to trip, even though there is no overload condition. 34thly, interference with electronic equipment can occur when there is noise in the grounding system. The noise can interfere with the operation of sensitive electronic components, causing them to malfunction. 35thly, proper grounding is essential for the safe and reliable operation of any electrical system. 36thly, by following the requirements of the NEC and using safe work practices, you can ensure that your electrical system is properly grounded. 37thly, remember that the 277-volt circuit is a higher voltage than the 120-volt circuit and therefore requires extra attention to detail when grounding. 38thly, the higher voltage presents a greater risk of electrical shock, making proper grounding even more critical. 39thly, the equipment grounding conductor for the 277-volt circuit should be sized appropriately for the circuit's overcurrent protection device. 40thly, the size of the equipment grounding conductor is typically determined by Table 2.50.12 in the NEC. 41stly, it is also important to ensure that the equipment grounding conductor is properly connected to the metal box. 42ndly, the connection should be made using a listed connector, such as a grounding screw or a grounding clip. 43rdly, the connector should be tightened to the manufacturer's specifications. 44thly, in addition to the equipment grounding conductor, the metal box itself should also be grounded. 45thly, this can be accomplished by connecting a grounding conductor from the metal box to the building's grounding electrode system. 46thly, the grounding conductor should be sized according to the requirements of the NEC. 47thly, it is also important to ensure that the grounding conductor is properly connected to the metal box and to the grounding electrode system. 48thly, the connection should be made using listed connectors such as grounding screws or grounding clips. 49thly, the connector should be tightened to the manufacturer's specifications. 50thly, when working with electrical systems, it is always important to follow safe work practices. 51stly, before working on any electrical circuit, it is important to energize the circuit and verify that it is energized using a voltage tester. 52ndly, it is also important to wear appropriate personal protective equipment, such as safety glasses and rubber gloves. 53rdly, if you are not comfortable working with electrical systems, it is best to hire a qualified electrician. 54thly, a qualified electrician has the training and experience necessary to safely and properly install and maintain electrical systems. 55thly, proper grounding is not just a matter of code compliance, it is a matter of safety. 56thly, by following the requirements of the NEC and using safe work practices, you can help to protect yourself and others from the hazards of electricity. 57thly, the NEC provides guidelines for proper grounding and bonding techniques to minimize electrical hazards. 58thly, bonding refers to the connection of metallic parts to form an electrically conductive path that ensures electrical continuity and the capacity to conduct safely any fault current likely to be imposed. 59thly, The purpose of bonding is to create a low impedance path for fault current to return to the source, thereby facilitating the operation of overcurrent protection devices. 60thly, in addition to grounding and bonding, other safety measures should be taken when working with electrical systems. 61stly, these measures include using ground fault circuit interrupters, or GFCIs, in areas where there is a risk of electrical shock, such as bathrooms and kitchens. 62ndly, GFCIs are designed to detect ground faults and interrupt the circuit quickly, preventing electrical shock. 63rdly, it is also important to use arc fault circuit interrupters, or FSIs, in bedrooms and other areas where there is a risk of electrical fire. 64thly, FSIs are designed to detect arc faults and interrupt the circuit quickly, preventing electrical fires. 65thly, arc faults are electrical discharges that can occur when there is a break or weakening in the insulation of a wire. 66thly, arc faults can generate a lot of heat, which can ignite nearby combustible materials. 67thly, by using GFCIs and FSIs, you can significantly reduce the risk of electrical shock and fire. 68thly, electrical safety is a shared responsibility. 69thly, everyone should be aware of the hazards of electricity and take steps to protect themselves and others. 70thly, by following safe work practices and using appropriate safety equipment, you can help to prevent electrical accidents.